Yeah, I've been given the charter of talking to you about nutrition tonight. So just out of interest, so the person that you spoke to in the room, hands up if your friend was more interested in fat loss or more interested in gaining muscle. Didn't get that far? Yeah, alrighty. So a few more people interested in muscle gain, that's good. I like it. So I'll talk a little bit about fat loss, but the principles still apply for muscle gain as well. So we're going to start off, to talk about this as being how to get the results you deserve for all the hard work that you're doing here in the gym. So clearly you're coming in, you're working hard. It's pretty disappointing if you don't get those results. I've worked with a variety of people, so we'll go on to the next slide. And yeah, so basically, what I've found, it's very small writing, isn't it? What I've found so far with society, we've got two problems. One, we're fat and we're getting fatter as a general rule. So at the moment, over 75% of Australians are considered overweight, with a large proportion of those being obese. So clearly something's not right. But the other problem is that this is a fairly recent phenomenon, so the science hasn't actually really caught up on how to solve this problem, and there's a lot of conflicting data that goes out there that causes this chaos and confusion, and you end up more confused and not knowing what to do. Like for me, I'm reading stuff constantly, and I'm reading something and then something else will directly contradict that. Does that relate to that? Yeah, beautiful. So there's problems with nutritional science. It is inherently flawed. It is impossible to do a double-blinded trial on food. It's impossible because we know what the food is. We can't pretend that this is placebo broccoli and this is real broccoli. We know what it is. The other complicating factor is that we're all biochemically unique. So we've each got our own genetics. We've each got our own environmental factors, stress levels, movement levels, sleep habits, all those kind of things that complicate the science of nutrition. So there is a lot of, and then you've got that complicated by the fact that there's marketing spin on top of that. There's people with things to sell, and they want to sell them. So they'll just manipulate the information to make it work for them. So we've got some issues there. And the other part of that is the reductionist approach doesn't really work when you're talking about nutritional science. And when I say that, I mean, we like to break things down into their component parts and go, well, what's the reason for all this big problem that we have? And it's like, it's this one. And you can't actually break it down to one little factor. It's a whole bunch of different things. So bear that in mind as we talk about. But what I'll endeavour to do is share some of the science that's got some really good information and multiple resources that actually confirm what works and what doesn't. And the other part of that is not looking at analysing what doesn't work, but actually analysing what works. That's much more important. We've got to be solution focused in this. We've got to look at people who have succeeded in losing fat and gaining muscle and having better metabolisms generally. So we'll aim to rid you some of the confusion tonight.